blacks or their offspring were not allowed to become citizens of the nation or hold office. But this was not true of Choctaw white men married to Choctaw women, and their children were considered members who could then become citizens.
Take a look at this.
Chickasaw Nation Freedman Roll.
This document is an official enrollment card for the Chickasaw Freedmen, the former slaves owned by the Chickasaw Nation.
Owned by the Chickasaw Nation.
Owned by the Chickasaw Nation. Your ancestors were enslaved by Native Americans.
In order to get where you're going, you need to know where you came from.
Verdi Triplett is a Chickasaw freedman and Choctaw by blood, but you won't find his name on any citizenship roll. The only official link to Triplett's American Indian heritage is a footnote on his ancestors' freedman roll card, which states separated from Silas Darnell, a Choctaw Indian. Typically, if the mother was a black former slave and the father was American Indian, the father section would have just been left blank.
Freedmen, freed women, freed from bondage, freed from enslavement. And I realized this is more than interesting.
It was untold history, hidden in plain sight within thousands of records. Thousands of African Americans had been owned by Native Americans. 20,000 people were enrolled in the Dawes Rolls as freedmen from 1898 to 1907. Some, like Walton Raji's ancestors, were born from a slave mother and Native American father, but that wasn't enough to enroll as a blood citizen.
Even if the father was Native, the blood was never recorded. So that column is empty.
I could look at my grandmother, who was the blood Indian, and I could see that she didn't look black. So wait a minute, now something is not right. I said, you do not look like a black woman. But we never did ask any questions, and they didn't tell us anything.
Hello everyone, I'm Sam Ford. Earlier this month in our 7 Inside Reports, I took a personal journey to look at a largely unknown chapter of black history when my ancestors and thousands of other blacks were slaves, not of the whites, but of the Indians.
My mammy and pappy belonged to a part Cherokee named W.P. Thompson when I was born.
Now, both of them are buried in this cemetery. But after I read their words, I was set on a mission to find out how my family became slaves of the Indians.
Cherokee owned African slaves. A lot of people don't know that. We talk about a lot of times that we had a harmonious relationship with Native Americans, but it wasn't always like that. Some Native Americans actually were slave owners.
Man, I'm tired of these abos, man. Are you tired of these abos? Lying on YouTube and showing no genealogy, no DNA, no evidence, just making shit up as they go. You tired of these abos? Let me know. 1 abo down, 2 abo down, 3 abo down, 4 abo down. What you gon' do when I take that crown? What you gon' do when I take that crown? 5 abo down, 6 abo down, 7 abo down, 8 abo down. What you gon' do when I come with that pound? What you gon' do when I come with that pound? 9 abo down, 10 abo down, 11 abo down, 12 abo down. What you gon' do when I take that crown? What you gon' do when I take that crown? You an abo, let's make that clear. But you don't got the proof to say you was here. I blame Dane Calloway and Caremio for all this nonsense that I'm hearing on the show. No, you ain't got the evidence, and it's evident you ain't got sense. That's why you always saying dumb shit on TikTok and YouTube. I'm talking to you, fool, and let's be truthful. You ain't got no DNA, no genealogy, so why you wanna play? Hey, I'm sick and tired of you abos. I'm sick and tired of you assholes. 1 abo down, 2 abo down, 3 abo down, 4 abo down. What you gon' do when I take that crown? What you gon' do when I take that crown? 5 abo down, 6 abo down, 7 abo down, 8 abo down. What you gon' do when I come with that pound? What you gon' do when I come with that pound? I'm sick and tired of what grandma said. Nigga, you ain't got no brain cells inside of your head. You say slavery is fake, DNA is fake, the narratives is fake. What more can I say? That everything is fake, according to a pseudo. You cherry pick AI and think that shit is cool though. Why don't you go to Google and ask if you was here? I bet you that dream will turn into a nightmare. 1 apple down, 2 apple down, 3 apple down, 4 apple down. What you gon' do when I take that crown? What you gon' do when I take that crown? 5 apple down, 6 apple down, 7 apple down, 8 apple down. What you gon' do when I come with that pound? What you gon' do when I come with that pound? 9 apple down, 10 apple down, 11 apple down, 12 apple down. What you gon' do when I take that crown? What you gon' do when I take that crown?
Wife Peggy and her slaves. In the years after removal, the life of slaves in Indian Territory was similar to life for other slaves in the Deep South. There were slave auctions, runaway slaves, and even a major slave rebellion. In 1842, near what is now Weber's Falls, Oklahoma, more than 200 slaves, men, women, and children, made an attempt to dash for freedom. Their goal was to get to Mexico and live as free people. These runaway slaves were enslaved by Joseph Van, often known by his nickname, Rich Joe Van. The escapees were not successful. They were captured several days later, with their captors being aided by reinforcements from nearby Arkansas. As a result, harsher slave codes were established, and most would not see freedom until the years of the Civil War. In 1860, the federal census did conduct a census of the enslaved population, including those enslaved in the Cherokee Nation.
Are you sick of the Mabos, man? I'm sick of the Mabos, man. I'm sick. I'm sick. I'm sick.
We are African, and we happen to be in America. We're not American. We are people who formerly were Africans who were kidnapped and brought to America.
You say you were Indian, but we know that's cap. I'm sick and tired of you frauds saying you're not black. And grandma said that you come from the black feet. Having a roommate's the only time you share a key. You niggas sick, you really need therapy. I can't lie, I gotta go and blame game. He started making videos, snorting cocaine. Our ancestors are turning over in their graves just because these abos don't wanna come from slaves. And they say that genealogy the key, but deny the records that prove there was slavery. I'm convinced that most of them can't read or even comprehend the words that they damn see. But this year, I'm burning feathers on the flames just to let them know that I don't never play games. And you know I do this for my ancestors.
African culture, African ties. And you'd be surprised. We discovered that deep within the subconscious of the black man in this country, he's still more African than he is American.
I do this for my ancestors. Not an Indian nigga. Stop the cap. Stop the cap. Stop the cap. You not an Indian nigga. Your people is black. Your people is black. Your people is black. You not an Indian nigga. Stop the cap. Stop the cap. Stop the cap. You not an Indian nigga. Your people is black. Your people is black. Your people is black. You not an Indian nigga. Stop the cap. Stop the cap. Stop the cap. You not an Indian nigga. You not an Indian nigga. Stop the cap. Stop the cap. Stop the cap. You not an Indian nigga. No, you not an Indian.
Bands on the track.
Na 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 na.